Okay, back in the room again. I now have the new caliper, which is there, some brake fluid, and this is just a little homemade brake bleeding device that I've made out of a jar of olives consumed and a little bit of plastic pipe that I had in stock. So that should enable me to bleed the brake once I've put the new caliper on. So let's go and do that. Hi everybody, David here. Hope you're all well. This is just a quick video. What I found is, coming back from a drive the other day, that this wheel, this is the driver's side front wheel, the brakes were just sort of seized on, sticking, binding, whatever you want to call it. This disc was red hot, way too hot to touch, and the whole wheel was radiating heat, so there's obviously something amiss here. Now I've already bled some fluid off. This is a bleed nipple on the caliper here, so I bled some fluid off. This still wouldn't move, so that sort of suggests that it's a mechanical thing, not a hydraulic thing. So I removed the caliper, which, well, this assembly here is in two parts. This is the carrier, this is the caliper itself. So I removed the caliper, which is just done by a couple of bolts, one here and another one at the bottom there, to undo, and then prized the caliper off. Had a look at that. The piston is very reluctant to go in and out. I did sort of clean things up a bit. You can see bits of grease here where I've just made sure that the brake pads themselves can actually move. So yeah, the suggestion was that it was the caliper, a problem with the caliper. So now I have a new caliper here. I'm just going to fit that, bleed the brakes, and then give it a quick test, just to make sure that everything's okay, and hopefully that will resolve the problem. So I'm going to do some of that now, and we'll film a bit more a bit later. Right, here's a quick progress report then. So obviously I've removed the caliper, I've taken the brake pads out, cleaned them up a little bit around the edges where they run along those little stainless steel, whatever they're called, I don't know what they're called. Yeah, same on both sides with the pads. I've cleaned the edges of the discs themselves. It's like a twin disc sort of thing almost, this. So I've cleaned these edges up a little bit here. I think the pads can sometimes stick due to sort of rust getting around this area here. Done that. I've now put the new, well, I've attached the brake line to the new caliper. You can, so there's a copper washer either side of the banjo bolt, which is how it should be. I'll tighten that up properly when I've got the caliper back on. And brake fluid was coming out of there, so there's no blockage. There's no blockage in this brake line here, which I think can sometimes occur. So let's get the caliper back on now, tighten things up, and then it'll be a case of bleeding the brakes. So yeah, I'll do that now. So that's the new caliper back on. I should also have said that there's two sliders. This is sort of, I think this is known as a floating caliper, and I'll show you why in a second. So there's two sliders underneath that boot there and underneath that boot there. I did make sure that they were running freely as well, because they can seize up, but because none of the adjustment has been taken up by the piston, you can see, I don't know if you can see actually with me trying to, but look, the whole piston, sorry, the whole caliper is moving there. That's because I haven't taken up the slack yet of the piston in the new caliper. Interesting, I haven't really seen that before, but yeah, those pins are moving freely enough. Right, here's the Breeze Mark 1 brake bleeding apparatus. So I can push the brake pedal down, basically. I don't need a glamorous assistant to do it for me because of this apparatus, so all I've done is I've connected the pipe to the bleed nipple there, which I've loosened a little bit so that fluid can come out. That then goes up into here, and then any air bubbles will come out there basically. So I've had a few air bubbles, but basically there's no air bubbles in this, so I'm just getting fluid coming out now. I'm not getting any air coming out as well, so I'm just going to leave it at that basically. And I think the reason for that is basically because there was so little room. These are almost new pads, and there was so little room inside inside between where I attach the brake line and the back of the piston, which is literally just here. There was nothing there. There was, all that's come out, I think, is the amount of air that was in the back of the brake cylinder. So yeah, I'm just going to do everything up. Get the wheel back on. Go for a drive, and hopefully when I come back this will be the same as all the other ones and just barely warm. That turns nicely now. I'm also turning the shaft there, so I mean it doesn't sort of spin freely. I'm also turning the drive shaft. But yeah, that would seem to have solved the problem. Proof of the pudding will be in the eating, so yeah, let's go and do that.